Thanks, guys, for joining us again. We're going to do some sit-down interviews. We were kind of requesting that last time we were down here to talk to these two crazy guys who run this shop called Cold Blooded and Bizarre down here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is Michael.
Nice to meet you guys. Welcome. I hope you guys enjoy the visit and the video today. We appreciate you guys coming out from Cincinnati and have some very excited things to show you.
Well, thanks for having us. And I've got some questions for you because, first off, you got to be a little bit crazy, right, to go this hard into reptiles with all the reptiles. So what put you on this path? How did we get where you are with this store?
Yeah. The fascination grew as a child. It's the type of kid that was picking up rocks and catching the little isopod roly-polies and seeing what different types of things I could find. I got my first pet lizard when I was 5. It was a green iguana. I usually say lizard because my parents had no right getting a 5-year-old a green iguana, but was sold as a beginner pet. So that kind of carries all the way through to today. I got my first snake when I was 8, so on and so forth.
What was your first snake?
My first snake was an albino corn snake. By the time I graduated high school, I had, I believe, 8 or 9 snakes and 2 or 3 lizards. Went to college, graduated college, had a handful more, so I was probably in the 15 to 20 range. Moved back here in 2015 to Charlotte, North Carolina from Chicago. I had a collection of 27 animals when we committed to doing the shop. It was a collection of a lot of one-offs. I wasn't interested in breeding. I'll give you an example. We had 1 dart frog, 1 leaf-tailed gecko, 1 Pac-Man frog, 1 leopard gecko, 1 bearded dragon, 1 Dumerle's boa, 1 rainbow boa, 1 Central American boa, so on and so forth. 1 red-eyed croc skink. But I had 27, and I was in between jobs. I was moved here from Chicago to Charlotte to manage a sales team for merchant services or credit card processing, and that job didn't work out after a little while. And I was in between jobs. I sold insurance for a little bit, hated that, and my wife's like, do something with all your reptiles. So me having a business degree from DePaul University, nice. I started working on a business plan for what you see today. Patrick, who you guys are going to get to see in a minute, Patrick, he was still living back in Chicago. He was my best friend in college at DePaul, and he had a handful of the reptiles and a ton of the oddities, which you see all around the store. A lot of those were in his personal collection. And cool as we were doing it, just said, hey, I think it'd be cool if we put all of our stuff together and made something really unique. So.
Heck yeah. Well, I think that the unique part, definitely check that box, because there are some cool things that we're going to show you here later, like some skulls and just some cool stuff. So that's how you guys met your friends from college and whatnot. That's very cool. And so you guys opened about 2 years ago, right?
Correct. We officially opened up in February of 2019. It was Super Bowl Sunday, I believe February 3rd. Yeah. We opened for a short 4 hours, and I believe you were here just about a week or so later.
Yeah, I was actually down the road doing an event when we were still doing events, and happened to be walking down the road, had an hour to kill, and was like, oh, there's a reptile store down here. Let me go check it out. And now here we are. So yeah, it's super cool stuff. So, okay, now I know that this is going to be an interesting question. You got to pick one. What's your favorite animal currently in the shop?
I'm going to tell you I hate that question.
I know.
Being that I love everything in here,
yeah.
It's very hard to pick a specific out of everything. It's easier if you break it into categories for me. But
we might be able to do that.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth One of my favorite animals in the store is the Frilled Dragon. I have to say he is one of those animals that I just love watching. They've got a ton of personality, very social. He's one of my favorite lizards, and I'm having a really hard time between him and the Grand Cayman Cross Kitty, who I believe you guys are going to both get to meet later.
Yeah.
But those are two of my favorite animals in the store, undoubtedly.
The Frilled Dragons are super, super cool.
I'm sorry the rest of all the animals in the store. I love you too.
Well, you know, it's always, but that's a question that everybody asks any keeper. Well, you've got 100 animals. Well, yeah, I like them all, you know. Which one's your favorite kid? Parents have a favorite kid. They just don't like telling you that. So in the last tour video, we touched on a couple of things that you guys offer here as far as basically any reptile expert help you could want. You should just contact them. Boarding and nail trims and stuck sheds and things like that. Now, what are some of your other future goals to expand the shop out on top of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So along with all those services, we already offer animal encounters and parties. So we do quite a few different school events for educational purposes, as well as birthday parties, and we've even had some animal rental where it was more like a photo shoot.
Yeah.
But obviously, one of the most important things to the shop as our morals is the fact of all of these animals in here, they are just as much a part of our ecosystem and the natural world as any of your other critters, and a lot of the reptiles, amphibians, and vertebrates are just truly misunderstood. I can definitively say, no question, that I don't believe there's an aggressive animal in our entire store. There's only a defensive animal who feels that we might be intruding on their personal space. Most of the reptiles, they just are going to run.
They're looking out for their safety. You know, we've got them in some boxes. You know, they're kind of held off.
One of the most unique experiences, I know this is going a little off topic, was actually we had a psychiatrist who her patient had extreme fear of snakes. Even a cartoon snake on the television was enough to have her go into almost a shock-like state. And she called here, and her last point of her therapy was to actually get her to come in and at least look at them. But by the end of her visit, we spent maybe an hour and a half showing her around and introducing her to different things. She ended up holding 2 or 3 snakes.
That's awesome. That's the best therapy right there. Get in there, face your fear, work through it. You know, it's one thing to come in and see them behind glass. I've got some family members who are also not big fans of snakes, but once they come down and they see the lizards, then, you know, if you find something that individual likes,
Right.
you know, like their little derpy faces that poke out, you know, they're like a crested gecko is great for a little derpy face to get somebody to let their guard down and really let something.
They always look like they're smiling a little
bit. Yeah, we saw one earlier right around the corner. It's so cool. And I saw that you guys are really not only focused on just the animals, you're focused on everything that goes with the animals, like we already touched on, as like lighting and very clearly the supplies. The supplies here also are seemingly never ending.
It's everywhere.
You kind of have everything.
It's actually very uncommon at this point that we have someone ask and we don't have at least a product that is a similar product to achieve the same outcome of what they're looking for. So we always suggest if you're here and you're looking for something, just don't chalk it up to we don't have it. It might be somewhere that it doesn't make sense in the back, or just hidden somewhere that might be hard to find. So please do ask, but we try to have everything to properly take care of all your reptiles, amphibians, and invertebrates. It's all about the knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, just come in here and ask questions. Don't be afraid. There's plenty of helpers, workers in here going around all the time, making sure things are cleaned up and everything. We've kind of stepped on their toes a little bit this morning. They might not have misted everything so that we can get some good shots for you guys. But, well, I really appreciate it, Michael. I'm going to talk to Pat now. Cool.
Of course.
Thanks for doing this.
Appreciate you.
All right, so we're joined now. We have Pat.
How's it going, guys?
And he is also, they're the co-owners here, right, of the store? Very cool. And you bring a really interesting aspect to the store because you weren't just into reptiles, right? You like the weird stuff too, which we'll see around here.
Absolutely, yeah. I found my first skull in a field in Ireland on vacation when I was, I think, 4 to 5 years old. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I still have it in a display case over there.
Oh, that's cool.
I've been into, obviously, everything ethically sourced. I don't ever want, I've hunted or killed, maimed, caused discomfort to any of the specimens or skulls or bones, things of that nature that you see around the store. All come secondhand from flea markets and estate sales, antique stores, found in the woods, you know, that sort of thing.
It's some really cool stuff. And you have Hippo Skulls. You have 3? Was it 2?
There's 2.
2? And they're amazing. The one over there we'll go look at here soon is amazing. It's so cool to look at.
Absolutely.
I remember that last time too.
Yeah, that was a specimen that was hunted in the 60s by friends of some family friends in Minneapolis, Minnesota. My family friends called up, said their friend's safari grandpa had passed away, and the kids were not interested in keeping all of his skulls and trophies and stuff. So I Googled how long it took to get to Minneapolis, and I was there 6.5 hours later. So,
And you got
oh yeah,
pretty much all of it?
most of
If
it.
not
Yeah.
all of it? Yeah, that's very cool. So if you had to pick of all of the oddities and whatnot, what would you have to say is your favorite piece from the Oddities collections?
Ooh, that is a real tough call. I mean, the first skull that I found ever is pretty near and dear to my heart. I actually have it tattooed right here.
What is it of? What
It
is
is
the skull from?
It's a sheep.
Oh, sheep?
Yeah.
Cool.
So nothing too exotic, but definitely kind of
Yeah.
sparked the interest for me at a young age.
Very cool. So then on the reptile side of things, you guys met in college like we talked about earlier, and you had a handful of reptiles that got you started. What kind of got you into reptiles?
Again, kind of like Michael, I was the kid. My parents, they never gave me video games, so I was always out in the yard catching bees and bugs, and butterfly net was like an extension of my arm as a little kid. So anything that was out there, I wanted to play with it, always catch and release. I was never like one to keep things for, you know, any extended duration of time.
Yeah.
But observing things in the natural world and just kind of getting to know what there is out there to see and find and discover.
It's always interesting when you see some animal or something that catches your eye and makes you think about things more. Like we're about to have the whole cicada invasion come
I'm excited
in the
for
area.
that. That is going to be really cool.
Me too. I am thinking nonstop about all the free feeders that are going to be in my backyard. That is my favorite part. You can dig a little bit in the grass in our yard, and I've found dozens of little tunnels for those little bugs crawling around. And then you just look into them and do your research and find out more about them. It's just the drive.
I would say just to specify, we don't necessarily recommend feeding outside bugs to your animals just because they could have parasites or people's fog for mosquitoes and things of that nature. So
That's true. Yep. So on the reptile side and the animals in here, I'm going to ask the same uncomfortable question. You've had some time to think about it. What's your favorite animal currently in the shop?
I like Rico a lot. He's awesome since we've had him from the beginning. My pet boa constrictor is the only one that's not from that serpentarium place in one of the jars, who unfortunately got intestinal cancer and had to be euthanized just the same week that the shop opened.
Oof.
So he is very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's very cool. Very cool. And then how have you seen, from your view, should have asked you as well, but from your view, how has the shop kind of changed? And since opening the shop, have you changed how you keep animals or different things like that? It's always like a learning experience.
every day here at Cold Blooded and Bizarre is a learning experience. We've hatched some animals that we talked about before that not many other people have, so we've kind of sort of shooting from the hip with a lot of those, but kind of educated shooting from the hip, so to, you know, figure out what their native habitat is and what the temperature ranges get to, and kind of shooting, playing from there. But
when you have the level of experience that you guys have accumulated in this amount of animals, you can probably just have a better educated guess overall just from the experience.
absolutely.
And that's what leads to better production out of all that. So, you know.
And having
yeah.
such a wealth of knowledge between both the owners as well as our staff,
Yeah.
who have a highly qualified staff that has all put together probably 50 years, maybe.
And I'm sure
40,
you guys
50
have,
years of collaborative.
and I'm sure you
reptile
guys
keeping.
also have like phone numbers for people that are also big in the hobby in the area that are also other experts as just another individual that you could contact and
Absolutely.
whatnot if you had a question.
We work with probably over 100 different breeders at this point for all the many different things you see that we don't produce ourselves. So they are also a wealth of knowledge to be able to pick their brains kind
Yeah.
of, just a text message or an email or something.
Yep. That's always nice. Experts are usually about a text or an email away if you have any questions. And these guys are your experts here for, the North Carolina in general area, because I really don't know about any other reptile stores. When I travel around the country and checked out the stores, this still is one of the top ones unless you go out to Vegas. So, you kind of got it squared away on the East Coast over here, so you should definitely be checking that place out. But that's going to wrap up the interview portion.